Think Live Be production.
3, 2, 1. Seeking the best, being my best. Do do da 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 da. Seeking the best, seeking the best, seeking the best, 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 best.
Welcome to Seeking the Best, the podcast for growth-minded real estate agents seeking clarity, focus, and a better way forward. I'm your host, Kathryn Stelljes, and sitting across from me is my co-host, Patrick Fatika, our sound engineer, producer extraordinaire.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
We're here. We're ready to talk more about the new season and lessons I've learned.
Yes.
The hard way so that you don't have to.
Right.
Yes, I've over this is my 20th year of selling real estate.
Yep.
And so if this is your first time listening, I've seen a lot of things, both inside people's houses that have haunted me.
You've seen trends come and go and come back again.
Right. I really have gotten to that point where I am starting to feel like that old agent that's like, I've been doing this for 20 years.
Well, we were just saying earlier this week about, I think you were showing properties to somebody you were showing property to somebody and the sellers found out they were underwater and it's going to have to be like a short sale.
Oh, yeah.
And how, when you cut your teeth on short sales because that was when the market was at its worst in a generation.
Yeah.
And a lot of agents, been in the business 5-6 years, Can
I go down a rabbit hole this early in the show?
Yeah.
Mr. Rabbit, wait!
What I found really fascinating with that is that the agent, super nice person, communicative, all of that. But the person had not done any kind of net sheet with the seller. It seemed.
Right. Obviously, if they got to the point where offers were coming in and they realized they couldn't sell.
That the person couldn't sell at that price.
Yeah, because
that was for sale for.
Because the agent probably had never come across that before.
So if you're listening to this and you're like, what's a net sheet?
Yeah.
Go ask your title company or your broker for one. And I think there's lots of quotes about clarity. Clarity is kindness, whatever. People want to know how much they're going to be walking away with. And in a cooling market, you need to know that they can sell for the price that is listed for. Sellers don't necessarily know the entire cost of sale. Like a lot of times they think it's just whatever you're getting paid or, and they think you make it all, like all of the things. So they don't actually know the taxes the state might collect, the settlement fees. Like they don't know. It's our job to educate them. And I think part of a listing consultation is going through those numbers and you knowing that day before you take the listing what their estimated mortgage balance is.
Because you have to know if there's any wiggle room, right? Like what we put this, do you have to get asking price to the nickel in order for these people to sell? Or is there some wiggle room on it? And as the market kind of cools and things shift and you start to see people who are right on the edge, you don't want to waste all of the time and money and expenses and effort that it takes to get a house up and listed just to find out after the offers come in that they can't sell it.
Or even beyond our own time, what if you had a seller that you listed a property, you did a consultation, you got the listing, you're all excited, put a sign in the yard, they go ahead and move to their next job, relocation, whatever, thinking this house is going to get sold. And you never did a net sheet with them. Yeah. And they actually are either at break even or underwater.
That is a worst case scenario right there. That would be terrible.
But my point was just that it was really a reminder that there are so many real estate agents. Like the licensing requirements are not that strong in any state that I'm aware of. And so when we're out there being professionals and doing our job, we need to make sure that we're educating people and that we have all the tools. And one of the tools for a listing consultation is a net sheet so that you can help educate the seller on what they're either going to walk away with or bring to the table. And for your own clarity around, what is this a listing? Is this a business decision that I should say yes on?
Right.
So that's my rabbit hole before we're even a few minutes into the episode. But yeah, we started a new season to talk about lessons that I've gone through because, I think that you learn through your own mistakes, but you also can prevent a lot of mistakes if you read books, you listen to podcasts, you look for patterns and understand that people have already done this, and you don't have to make the same mistakes and go through years of hitting your head against a wall.
Yeah.
Like I did. So we're talking about lessons. Last episode was about the mistake that I made of not taking everybody I knew in a very unique opportunity that I had at another job and putting every single one of those people that I saw regularly into my database. And wow, it cost me literally millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like using the MREA models for conversion. Had I gotten all of the contact info of the people that I saw regularly, put them all in my database and did the steps over time, we're talking millions of dollars lost. So why am I on a podcast telling you about that? So that you don't make the same mistake. Whatever opportunity, even if you've been in business a while, think about the opportunity around you. I know even just having that conversation led me to think like, what other like circles am I in that I don't even think about? Because I don't need to build a database today. Like I don't need to,
right,
but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't think about who am I interacting with that maybe didn't make it in.
Right.
Because I don't have the need right now. So if you're rebuilding or starting new, go listen to that episode. And then, we'll get started with
today's episode. Okay.
When I was about 10 years into the business, I finally made the jump to get my own office space at the Keller Williams office. And that was a big turning point in my career. I think like having, we moved from one house to another so that we had a second bedroom for office space. Then we bought a house and had a separate building that I used as an office. And actually in that guest house at our first home, I did hire my first assistant and I had them come to my house. That quickly failed, but that's for another conversation. I kept kind of making incremental improvement of having more space to dedicate to this is business, this is my space for doing this, so that I could continue to sort of find some sort of balance. And moving into the Keller Williams office after about 10 years in real estate sales gave me a completely different environment. It felt more productive. There were people around me that were making calls that, you could hear them through the walls. There was energy in that environment. And it took me to the next level, truly. And in that moment, I had hired my first full-time admin at the time. That person actually ended up not being full-time for other reasons, but it was my first step into really starting to grow a business, a team. And in that time, I was kind of feeling stuck, I think, in how do I add more people? How do I grow without more leads? And I think we all think that at many times. Like you probably think that on a daily basis, actually, like I need more leads. It never really goes away. Like I don't think you can ever have too many leads. But I had gotten to this point where I'd, kind of felt like I figured out how to convert from open houses. And I had, despite my failures to add all the people I knew, I had some sphere connections, and that had led to some sales at that point. And so I kind of started to figure out lead sources. And I thought I need to add more though. I can't grow without more leads. And I didn't feel like I could do, you can only do so many open houses. You can't open house your way out of like having enough leads. There's only so much time. And so I was looking into ways to grow. And I think during that time, I was also probably reading the MREA book for maybe the first time. And again, with that mentality of growing a business, I need to understand the business models and start treating it that way. And I started to look at the budget model, and you start to see that, you're supposed to spend money on lead generation. And I was probably pretty frugal at that point and didn't really spend money on anything but what was necessary. And I think as a single agent, that's typically what happens. Like, if you're happy where you're at, you're not going to go out and spend a bunch of money because you're not looking to necessarily grow. But I was. And so I would look at the model, the budget model, and see, okay, if I spent money on leads, what would that look like? And so I finally kind of landed on this idea that I needed to spend money on specifically Zillow leads, or like some kind of internet lead source. I think that was what I was primarily looking for. And so, Zillow obviously grew really quickly to be one of the number one websites for real estate searches. And so it seemed to make logical sense. If I pay for leads from this company, this is the number one. At the time, I'm not sure that it was number one, actually. It might have been realtor.com still. But if I pay for leads and they tell me you're going to get about 30 to 40 leads a month, if you pay $1,000 a month for leads and you get 30 to 40 leads, I felt like I'm going to be able to get a return on that investment. It seems almost like, how could you not? I think I did not ask enough questions to understand what those leads are. And I also didn't really think through what kind of leads those would be. I mean, I don't think I knew that it's buyers searching on Zillow. That's primarily their business model is to go advertise homes for sale. So I knew it would be buyer leads, but I just didn't really think about the idea that if I was going to spend money on something, it should be for listings. And so I started spending money, and you have to get, you get locked into a contract with these kinds of online, any kind of business, any kind of contract. You're going to have some sort of agreement that you're going to use their services for a specific amount of time. And I also believe that if you're going to do something, whether it's direct mail, internet leads, anything you're going to do, you should be willing to spend 6 months to a year of that to see if it can work. You've got to give it time. Like, it's not an overnight success thing. And so I signed up. I think I was in a year contract. So I spent $12,000 on those leads, and I don't think I sold a single thing. And there was a lot of reasons for that. But the reason this is one of those lessons that I bring to people now is, just because you want to grow doesn't mean that you should just go start throwing money at it. I think that's where I look back and I say, I just was like felt so desperate to get that next level of business that I just said, okay, well, Zillow's a big thing, and other people around me were paying for Zillow leads. The team next door was, and they were having great success. And the issue was really not the leads, though. It was everything that goes along with when you start some sort of marketing campaign. Like, what comes next? Do you have systems in place for that? And I don't think I had understood the concept of speed to the lead yet. Maybe I did, but it was not possible for a solo agent to call back a lead as fast as somebody on a team could. Just imagine for a moment you've found some reasonable success at 10 years into the business. Where are you spending all of your time? Like, you're busy. You're out on the road showing properties, you're in appointments, you're in closings. You are not available 24/7, and you don't have anyone else who can follow up with the lead. So what happens? Those 30 to 40 leads come in, and you can't call them as fast as the other person who's also paying $1,000 a month for the same lead. And so oftentimes I would call and they would already have connected with somebody. And that's where the second part comes in, is I don't think that I had the right dialogues for that type of lead. I didn't understand the realistic time it would take to convert those leads would be months to years. Especially when, what could I have been doing instead of that with that money to grow my business?
Yeah, that whole thing, speed to the lead and all of the things that kind of just rolled off your tongue through the telling of that story, are all lessons that have been learned since then, but yeah, it was a lot of money being spent and not really knowing what to do with those calls.
So also, I have to go back and think, I don't think I had yet been to any family reunion or mega camp.
No.
I had not attended. And that's actually, if I think about it, it's a long time. But if you heard my origin story, I worked a second job for 5 years in.
Right.
Almost 6 years. And so then I took a few years to we stopped that job and we started really focusing on business. So it took
to a point where you could afford the money to be able to spend it, but it was still like, that was all of it.
Yeah.
Right. You had gotten yourself an office space and, it was like, that was a lot of money. It was a pretty big hit. And when you're taking basically, a quarter of what you would spend in what you would make in a year and just basically setting it on fire because you don't have the tools in place to be able to do what a team would do with those leads because you don't know.
Well, so everything that I've learned when I say speed to the lead, and I know the systems and I know the time frames that leads take to convert, all that stuff came through going to conferences, going to classes and learning.
And just your natural absorption of education through trial and error and process and talking to other agents and all of that stuff. They say these are leads. We know what that means now. And for our listeners who are newer and I think I'm going to go to this company and buy these leads. I'm going to go to Zillow and buy these leads. You don't call them up and then they go, yeah, I'm interested in buying a house. Will you show me a bunch of properties? Yeah, I'll sign an exclusive buyer's agreement with you. That's not what those are leads that you get as referrals from your sphere. That's what those leads are a lot of times. Right. But these are people that maybe sort of looked at a house and they put their information in, but they're 8 months out.
So some of them, and let's just back up a second. Let's back up a second.
Most of them.
Because I believe that it's not the act of spending money on leads. That's not the lessons.
Correct.
It's okay to have a budget and spend money on leads. Now, are there free lead sources? 100%. And you should master those first. and use the red light, green light described in the MREA book to, before you put money out there, be making money. And I was, though, like, I think that's where, like, I didn't make a mistake.
It felt like
because it wasn't having a return. So that was like, what a waste.
Right. But I mean, getting to your headspace of I'm going to do this was I am seeing success. I am doing well. I am busy. I don't have the time. I feel like I don't have the time to go and start some other lead source. I know how long it takes to do open houses. I don't want to do FSBOs. I don't want to call expireds. I don't want to do any of those things. And here's a company saying, we will send you 30 leads a month for $1,000. And you say, well, all I have to do is convert one of those.
Yeah. And
right. Except when we say, you have a 50-50 chance of heads or tails, that's not with 3 tosses. It's 50-50 chance of heads and tails after you toss the coin 10,000 times.
Well,
so the same with these leads, and getting 1 out of 30 is not, it doesn't work that way.
Well, I think you have to apply every single time you hear somebody say results, you have to say over time. Like at the end of every sentence, over time. So when I say in these conversations, like the average conversion rate in 20 conversations is to set 1 appointment over time.
Right.
Not today, not your first time.
Right. You can talk to 200 people and not set an appointment, but over time, it will average out to be 1 out of 20. I don't think a newer agent sitting down, they hear the numbers, you've got somebody on the other end of the phone trying to sell you those leads, and it's not their first day, right?
Yeah.
They know, they have their scripts, they're memorized, and they know they hear your objections. They use their objection handlers on you. You're a new agent. They know that. It's like that's a tough thing.
So one of the things I think I can admit this, and I think it's true. Again, it's hard to go back 10 years and 100% remember exactly where your headspace. But I do think there's this little bit of maybe I was looking for some sort of miracle pill.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when we say, oh, let's go to try this or do this, you're looking for some sort of easy way to get new business.
I'll throw a bunch of money at it and that'll solve my problems.
And there is no such thing. And I've learned that over time. There is no magic pill. There is no miracle lead source that will suddenly grow your business exponentially, because everything is that caveat. It's over time. So, by the way, I think I eventually sold something from those Zillow leads. So, but now did the payoff add up? I don't know, because I don't remember the sales price. But imagine $12,000 in 2015, 16. Like imagine like probably the average compensation was not that. So one deal was not enough to break even. So it was a loss. And the main issues there were I wasn't able to call fast enough every time.
Yeah.
It's like maybe every now and then you get lucky and you're like, lead.
Yeah. A team like the one that was next to you could do that because they had people sitting in the office answering the phones and calling out and doing all of those things. Multiple people.
When you have multiple people that can be on call essentially for the purpose of answering leads and calling back. And in fact, they are incentivized to call back faster or, penalized to
if they don't call back fast enough,
back fast enough and meet the standard. Those will have higher results because it is true that the first person to talk to them is more likely to convert them. So there's that. So when you go into some sort of new lead source, you have to ask yourself, whatever the outcome is of the lead, like if it's an internet lead, it's going to be speed to the lead. They're wanting to request a tour. They want information. You better be the first one to call them back. It's
also about having a really good understanding right from the beginning of who are these people that I'm calling or that are who are these people that I'm calling? So if I do get them on the phone, what level are most of these people in? And do I have the systems in place to be able to do the correct follow-up with this type of lead?
Yeah.
Right. So,
that was going to be my next thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I opened the door for you.
Well, so the next part is, do you have the ability to respond fast enough for the type of lead? Do you have a system in place for follow-up for the length of time it will take for it to convert? And just know, like with any kind of online lead source, every now and then you can get lucky with somebody who's literally out there looking and not yet represented. You can get lucky with that. Sure. Yeah. That's part of the overtime conversion rates. It's all factored in.
You can't base your business off of getting lucky.
No. So what is the
measurable
system for follow-up for somebody over 12 months, 18 months? Mm-hmm. If you don't have one, then don't spend the money yet.
Right. You're not ready.
Go research. So this is where I probably failed. And I'm sure I did some research. I'm definitely a research person. I'm sure I did some research. I'm sure I had a follow-up system in place.
But when you're spending...
But it wasn't long enough.
Right. And that's the other thing too, is spending... So not only are you spending the $1,000 a month on that, but you also have to spend your time, whatever your time is worth, on the follow-up, and also whatever that's going to cost.
Yeah.
How am I going to do the follow-up? Am I putting them on some sort of an 8-touch plan where I'm sending them a postcard and I'm sending them this and I'm putting them on a mail campaign or whatever it is? All of that added costs goes into that as well.
Well, so yeah, so think about the models and systems. So I had let's call it an 8x8, but at the time I had heard about 10 days of pain is what it was called. Right. And then people changed it to 10 days of gain because it was more positive. But it was a program where you would touch people very quickly over like a 10-day period. Mm-hmm. Like the point was the same as an 8x8, which is to get in front of them so many times so quickly that you either get them on the phone or at least they remember who you are. But what happens after that? Because they're not all going to respond in the first touches. So what is the follow-up plan after that? And I know exactly what my plan was after that. It was a 12x12. Mm-hmm. So it was 12 emails because it's an internet lead. So it was 12 emails in quarterly calls, which is not a bad plan, but this is not the lead source for that. So again, like understanding at a deeper level, what do these people need? It's not that so the length of time it would take to convert might be a year or 18 months. Mm-hmm. It's gotten longer over time, but so one email a month that is like just general tips and things isn't necessarily going to convert or remind these people. Like you have to connect with them and understand like what it is they're looking for. So I remember like hearing people on the other team on the phone and they would get like internet leads from their website and they would set them up on their own drip email campaign. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is they were able to get on fast enough that they could get some more information from the person to then better tailor the follow-up over time.
Rather than a generic.
But I wasn't able to get fast enough to get them. And then when I did get somebody...
What are you going to do? Set up different campaigns for every lead that comes in? Because you by yourself?
Yeah.
Like, whereas they've got a team of people and they've got systems in place.
Back to like what... The failure of it was not knowing the speed in which I needed to, like what I needed to do to accomplish outcomes, and then also the systems in place to follow up. And so it was a big waste of money. And then let me go back to the miracle pill situation, because I think that is like one thing that plagues our industry. There's always some new shiny object. There's always some new
This is going to solve all your lead problems.
And we fall for it every time. That wasn't the first, that was probably the second time that I spent money like that I don't really have regrets. So when I say regret, I'm like, I don't really regret this. It was a lesson learned and it helped me build better systems.
It forced you to say, oh, I need to have all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas if you had just kept going and hadn't purchased those leads, it might have taken years more before you had an opportunity to where you would see a hole
Yeah.
that needed to be fixed.
But I would say, like, what could I have done with $12,000 for my sphere or farm? Oh, I didn't mention farm earlier, but at that point I had started farming and was seeing success with that as well. What could I have done with that money to impact those people who actually long term would have a bigger impact on my success than random internet leads?
Because what happens is you thought that you spend $1,000 and the phone would ring with people who say, hey, can you sell me a house? And that's not what it is. And it's a bunch of follow-up. And if you would have a bunch of follow-up and a bunch of time that needs to happen. So not only is it the $1,000 a month, but it's a bunch of time that needs to be spent. So if you would have taken the $12,000 and put it towards farming or sphere, you in your mind before you bought those leads, you'd say, but that's so much work to have to do to always be in contact with them and to do. I could just spend this. They didn't tell you that you'd have to spend that same amount of time with the leads coming in from Zillow as you would with your sphere or farm.
So that's a good point. Is that even though they were actual leads coming in versus, like, let's say I spent $12,000 on my farm. I don't know what that would look like. Maybe a couple events, blah blah blah, but in that farming takes time. Like, I know that everybody knows that it's the long game. And so when you're thinking about, I need to grow my business, I need some immediate leads.
I need it now.
That's not what you're going to lean towards. You're going to lean towards some sort of like, give me leads, like give me leads. And they do, you do get this and any other website. I've also paid for realtor.com leads when I was in a different place with team members, and they were less expensive and we saw results for sure. But again, I had at that point developed systems. I had people, but there was a time before the Zillow thing. So
you want to take a quick break and then we can get into that part of it? All right, let's take a quick break and then we'll get back into it.
If you're enjoying this episode and want more ways to seek your best, not just in your business, but in how you spend your time and energy, there are a few easy places to connect with us beyond the podcast.
Over on YouTube, you can find us at Seeking the Best Pod. We share full episodes of the show, short coaching clips, reviews of real estate products, and tips on building a real estate business that actually works in real life. We post videos on Thursday mornings.
Or find us on Instagram at On Seeking the Best. There we post behind the scene moments, short practical tips, and some of the real unfiltered stuff that doesn't always make it into the show.
And if you're looking for episode supplements like the Candy Bag, where Kat posts more in-depth ideas that we discuss on the episodes, head to onseekingthebest.com. You can learn more about us, buy some Seeking the Best merch, or send us a question that we'll answer on the show.
However you connect with us, thanks for being here and keep seeking your best.
And we're back.
Okay. So before Zillow, I did make another financial mistake, I would say, where I spent, it was $5,000, and I can't remember the time frame, like what the $5,000 got me. It wasn't $5,000 a month. I would have never done that. I wasn't in a financial position to do that at that time. So this was probably, let's back up a bit. This was probably 2011, 2012. And so that would be 4 or 5 years earlier than the Zillow leads. And I was looking for listing leads. So at least I made a decision to spend money on.
You had read somewhere that listing, you take listings and they can parlay into more.
Sure.
Right.
And so at least I was like spending money on the right thing. So let's say it was 6 months. I really don't remember, but it definitely wasn't a year. And it was $5,000. And what it was a paying somebody else, like outsourcing your expired FSBO calls. Okay. And there's still companies in existence today that do that. This is, I don't remember the name of this one. I'm pretty sure this one was a scam. Like they took your money. Like I'm pretty sure this was defunct and maybe had some complaints on litigation and things like that.
Yeah.
Complaints on what is it?
Better Business Bureau.
But it seemed like at the time, it seemed reputable. It seemed to make sense the way it was explained, that you're basically paying somebody to call expireds and for sale by owners for you, because guess what? Nobody wants to do it.
Right.
I'm not immune to that.
They saw an opportunity to take advantage of people where there was something they didn't want to do, and they say, we'll do that for you.
Yeah. And so they would set appointments, and I couldn't tell you how many appointments. There were appointments set. One of them I went on and nobody was home. It was like,
They didn't qualify the appointments.
Yes.
They didn't use LP Mama.
And I don't want to get too far ahead, but later in another episode, we'll probably talk about a hire I made that also I went to an appointment. Like it was an inside sales kind of hire, and I went to an appointment and nobody was home. So,
so this was like
unique to
right. It was an outsourcing of an ISA that you had no control over their quality control.
Yes, no control. So I think that's just to bring that one up. We all make mistakes of wanting to grow our business and like we got to spend money to get leads sometimes, and that's true to some degree. And you go and you look at different platforms and programs and sources, and how can you add an extra thing once you kind of max out the things you're working on, and so you can do all the right steps and still make a mistake, and then like, okay, learn from it.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I realized like, I don't think that that's something to outsource for at that moment in time. And what I mean is,
what do you mean? What's not
prospecting?
Oh, okay.
I was looking for somebody to do the prospecting, and I got it, but were they, and I'm not I would not consider myself an expired or FSBO pro. I've practiced a lot of scripts and dialogues over the years, so now I have some internalized, but that was never my cup of tea. And so, but at the same time, like if I think back on this, I think, but was I probably better at converting in my own market than these random people who were hired somewhere else that I don't even know, because I'm not the one hiring them? Do they even have any sales skills?
Yeah.
You've probably gotten enough.
Well, I've gotten enough phone
sales calls
yeah.
to realize that most people who are in sales on the phone, telemarketers, are terrible at their job.
Yeah.
So could I have actually, if I had, instead of spending the $5,000 on that, taken that, diverted that to some other thing, and then just instead of feeling like some sort of relief and saying, well, now somebody else is doing this, I just dedicated a little bit of time to that activity, I probably would have sold some more houses. So there's always things that you spend money on in real estate that don't pan out. I think it's just about taking it and saying, well, what would I do differently? And
well, I don't know if I can describe this, but it's like work really hard at the beginning, build your sphere, contact your sphere regularly, build your database, do your open houses, keep doing it, get better at it. And then you're building like this little compound made out of stone and brick. And then you get an extra $5,000. And you put that towards that. You make that you start doing events. You start inviting people to things. You keep working that and keep working that and keep working that. But instead, what people want to do is they want to start to build a new building over there with their $5,000. It's not that's never going to be a strong compound that you're building, because everything is too separated. You've got something over here on the left, you got something over there, you got something over here, and you're trying to build all of them. We're trying to build this lead source and that. That's easy enough to do when there's enough eyes and hands to help you. When you're by yourself, you want to almost just keep adding to what you have. And then how do I build habits around those things? How do we habit stack, right? Yeah. Around my sphere database open houses. Do I start hosting events? Do I join this committee? Do I join? And what if I take this $5,000 and I do an ice cream party for whatever it happens to be, rather than start this brand new thing way over here that I don't have the eyes on it to be, you see what I mean?
Yes. And I think if I look back on my entire career, that is what I've done, is like incrementally grow things and just keep focusing on those. But if you look at what has succeeded, if you look back on your life, on your career, all of the things that, like, one of the things that you did is what you talked about earlier in this episode, and we're just throwing that aside because it didn't work. But if you look at everything that's worked
and you get rid of all the stuff that didn't, what I just described is what you've done, right?
But that's what I was getting at.
Oh, okay.
Was that if I look at everything over time, I have made just like incremental changes to like, okay, so first I'm going to sort of figure out Sphere and past client business. Like, how do I generate referrals from it? And then I'm going to add events into it. And then from events, I'm going to add micro events. And then I'm going to add a VIP program. And I keep adding to get more out of it until I've maxed out those people.
Right.
And then the same thing with open houses. Like I studied it and I tracked it to see like how many can I really do and how many people come to them. What's the best time? And I kept improving. And at the same time, I would waste time throwing other money at the wall, throwing other things at the wall to see if those would stick.
Here's a zip code farming thing or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't have the stuff in place to be able to do the correct follow-up and the amount of money it's going to cost to do the follow-up or to do the reach outs to people who are leads, but cool leads and all of those things. It's like, if you have the people to defend that corner of your compound, then that's great.
Well, but
if it's just you,
that's the part. Well, and I think personality drives this.
Yeah.
Like this might not resonate with you if like I have a little bit of a focus problem. And I also, one of my strengths if you've ever taken Strength Finders is ideation, which means I really like ideas. So like I can get locked in on like, oh, this is a cool idea. Like what if I did this? And then I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then, I'm not necessarily like the implementer. You
want to move on to the next idea.
I want to move on to the next idea. So like I'll throw out a lot that then doesn't fully get to where it could be.
Right. Because
had there been the time or person to make the system to make it work, because anything can work. Even that scam probably could have worked.
Yeah.
Like had I had the ability to sit down and like hold that money accountable,
or to hold them accountable.
Well,
like,
and that's what I mean by hold the money accountable.
Not knowing what questions to ask. It's like, so give me the script. I want to hear the script.
I want to hear give me the recordings of the people. I want to hear it so that I can
can't have
feedback.
any of those. Okay. Well, then there's something wrong with this, right?
Yeah.
Like not knowing what to say or what to ask.
But so, looking back on all like, what would I do differently if I was like talking to somebody who's thinking about how can I grow my business? I would say first things first, look at what lead generation is already working and ask yourself this very important question.
What already working, and that is the one that you do regularly, that you enjoy doing. That isn't the one that you dread having to do.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean? That's a huge part of it.
So what's already working, and have you actually completely like maxed that out?
Yeah. Have you squeezed blood from a stone?
Like I didn't start really asking myself that question. Like I know the numbers, I know what should be, and I would look at these things.
That's the first thing.
What? You know the numbers?
Yeah. Like what are you getting out of that lead source? And what do the models say you should be getting out of that lead source?
Right.
And are you in that ballpark?
So, and if you're not, then what can you do to continue to improve that first before you spend money on the next big thing? That's the biggest lesson that I learned from spending money on leads in the past is that, what could I have done with that money?
Yeah.
To improve the source that was already working, that I already knew how to manage.
Right. How do I expand it? I guess that's what I was saying about the compound. How do I expand what's already working?
Yes.
Rather than trying something brand new way over there on the side,
And then that's the other part of this is like, how many times did I probably not make my Sphere calls because I was like, oh, I got to call these Zillow leads back.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens when you get busy and you don't have people to do like other tasks is like, then you have to decide every day who is the most important person to call back, because sometimes you literally can't do it all.
And if you're spending $5,000 or $1,000 a month you almost feel like, well, I know I need to call my sphere, but these people,
I spent money on it. It
spent
has some
money.
sort of weird,
like pull on you. Like if you feel like I got to hurry up and do this, or I'm going to lose $1,000 this month, kind of a thing. And now you're kind of caught. And when you probably should have been calling the sphere, those are stronger leads, people who know you, like you, trust you, right? Versus these randoms.
Yeah. So that's number one, because I think that prevents the spend that's not necessary, because you already have something that could be even better. And then the second part is, if you're going to invest in a new lead source, you've maxed out your sphere, you're doing 16%.
Good for you.
Good for you. Yeah, that's awesome. So that means that
can you add more to that sphere?
Right? Like, okay, so yeah, who can you go meet, right? So, but if you've maxed out the sphere and you're doing 10 to 16% of that number in closed units every year from that group of people, and then you look at your other lead source, open houses, farming, whatever it might be, expired FSBOs. Look, some people do really well with that. Whatever it might be, are you getting the conversion? Is there any more that you could put into that? Then if you say, yes, we're killing these sources and we want to add another one, and I have team members, so I'm going to start paying for leads to have more opportunities.
But I've got a marketing person that's going to do all of the follow-up via emails and postcards, and they're going to keep everybody organized in my spread. They're making their own spreadsheets. Everything is all laid out, and we've got all of the plan figured out.
Well, I would say, look at your script, look at your standard for response to lead, like the time. Is there a system in place that you could have, if you're spending money on like internet leads, is there a system in place where you could have an automatic text sent as well?
What happens on a Saturday morning?
Well, do you have people who can meet the standard, whatever that is for you? If it's 5 minutes, if it's 30 seconds, do you have people in place and a system by which it'll be like routed out to them so that they can make the call immediately? And then what's the follow-up system? Is that planned out for 18 months if it's like an online lead?
Right. Automated to whatever degree it needs to be.
This could apply to anything. You mentioned earlier, like zip code, excuse me. Like zip code. There's marketing providers that have like farming lists. So this is more of a listing lead generation system.
They run like an algorithm through and go, these people have owned their house for 7 to 10 years in this neighborhood.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. These are the people most likely to want to sell over the next 6 months to a year.
Yes.
That kind of a thing.
So on those kinds of things, and I've looked into a few of these, so but I certainly am not 100% familiar with everything. But let's just say, for example, they sell you a zip code that's sort of in your farm area, and you're basically buying like information. They might have a component of it where they're doing direct mail, or you're paying for it, or online ads for that area, and it's directing them to like a home value site or something like that. And you're paying for the information, the data of the people that are most likely to sell. And then when they raise their hand, then you've got to have a follow-up system in place though. So my recommendation with those kinds of things is that know that they're probably also selling you to some degree, some sort of CRM, like follow-up process. You've got to learn it and put it into place, or it won't work. And so if you're going to sign up for something and spend money, where in your calendar are you going to learn the system? Because if you don't have that set aside, a month will go by and you'll be like, oh gosh, I really need to get in there and like figure this out, because I just got a lead and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it.
And they just collected money for somebody's 3-month trial. Right.
So you have to dedicate time to learn a new system, if there's a system involved that you're paying for. And if there's not, then you better figure out what needs to happen.
Right. How are you going to convert those, bring those people into your own CRM, and what's the follow-up system for them for the next 6 to 18 months? right? Because it's going to take that long. So if you are like, I need to buy some leads, I need some sales, I don't know what else to do. My sphere never calls me back. I'm terrible at open houses. I'm going to go and I'm going to spend this money and I'm going to throw it at this. If you're doing that and you think the phone is going to ring and somebody's going to be on the other end and say, yeah, I want to buy a house. Will you help me? Mm-hmm. That may happen once out of the 200 soft leads that you get, but you will not be able to buy your way out of mediocrity.
I remember like there was one of those services where like they would let you know who was likely to sell. So you have their information. Well, and maybe not even a phone number or an email, just the address. Well, what are you going to do with that? Right. Like, yes, you can direct mail to that 100%. Mm-hmm. But like, then I think you have to look at the real cost of that. So you're paying for, you're paying for the platform, the list, the data. And look, they've researched it. They've put in the back end algorithms to get you the data. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but what are you going to do with it? If you're going to direct mail market to it, how many people in that list, how much is that going to cost you? And then what are also good questions to ask these people are like, what are the expectations for actual success? Not just how many leads am I going to get?
Yeah.
Give me examples of other agents using this.
Well, you're going to have to send out. You can't just, oh, well, this person's kind of in the neighborhood and this person looks pretty good. And you're just going to add 4 or 5 to a list every day. And that's not going to work, right? You have to send out thousands and thousands of postcards. And what's that going to cost? And I can tell you it's more expensive to send an individual list of postcards to, this person who lives in that neighborhood and that person that lives in that neighborhood over there versus we're going to send them all to this one neighborhood. That we're going to send them all to this one neighborhood is way cheaper than sending them to all of these different ones. It's also, it's a lot when you start to think about how many postcards actually need to go out for you to even get a soft lead back. Well, and I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm just saying you have to have the systems in place to be able to pay for it, to be able to continually send them out, and to be able to do the follow-up once you hear from them. Well,
so let me just say this real quick, because you kind of were saying it, but in a roundabout way. If you're paying, and I don't know the cost of these services, but if you're paying $1,000 a month for an area of data that of people likely to sell, plus you need to then market to that community. So let's say that's another $500 to $1,000. How many people could you just market to for $2,000 or like $2,000? Like you could actually create a really big farm. Yes, you'd be hitting people that have no interest in selling. I'm all about targeted marketing, but I'm just saying you could either hit more houses and create a farm, or you could possibly hit only $1,000 worth of houses, but you still might get this.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's the same results. My point is just understanding the math. Like, you're going to spend the money on the system, but there's going to be other cost.
Yes.
Don't forget the other costs.
And the other costs can be just as much at the end of the day.
My point in all of this, though, is that like usually your problem isn't that you need a bunch of more leads.
Right.
Like we always think we do. And look, you can't ever have enough leads, but most of the time it's that you need to double down on what's already working for you, improve your skills, improve your systems. It's through those things that you can actually have better results with what's already working and then add on something else. But most of the time we're not actually mastering what's working for us. We're just trying to go to the next thing. I've made that mistake too many times.
Here's what really makes sense, right? Is if you're following the rules and you're following the models, you've created a sphere of 200 people, you're doing a couple open houses a week, you're adding those people to your database, and you're contacting your sphere and database the number of times you're supposed to be doing it, right? And you're following the rules. You won't have time to go and start another brand new lead source because that should be working for you. And it should be working for you if you have the 200, you're adding to that daily, weekly, monthly. You should be able to get to a point just with that to be able to make your first hire as an admin. And once you make your first hire as an admin, that may allow you to try one of these other lead sources because now you have somebody who's in the office that can do the follow-up, that can help with the marketing, that can help with the emails, all of those things. But don't move too quickly without knowing the systems that you're supposed to have in place. I think that's what happened to you.
Yes. And I just want to like tag on to that because you said you have somebody in place who can help with the follow-up, but let me just clarify.
Yes, I did not mean on the phone follow-up.
I just wanted to clarify, like your admin isn't a salesperson. They're not going to be the same personality type as a salesperson. And you're training them on lots of different things, not scripts and dialogues for conversion.
Right. I was, when I said follow up, I meant emails, newsletters, postcards, follow up.
Now I have had in the past, admin help with just the speed to lead part.
Oh yeah.
Like at least grabbing the call if I couldn't. And
remember, they have a script and
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if that like was useful or not. Probably, I would say probably more so than not. Like at least there was a connection.
Depended on the admin.
Yeah, sure. But at least there was a connection of a human being that could say like, you know, when I would reach back out and they could immediately get them on the next step and all those things. So they can certainly help. Like that's the like, beauty of people. They can help you scale more than paying for leads. The person can help you scale more than paying for more leads that you already can't handle, like what you've got going.
And that admin might, by being there, might open up, oh, we can do this and this and this. And maybe you don't need another brand new lead source. You can just expand the lead sources that you already have. It's like you won't know until that person gets in there and you start to create your ideas and you start to read a little more, and all of a sudden, you know, but to just be like, I'm only getting 5% out of this. I'm going to throw a bunch of money at this other brand new thing.
Well, so to kind of put a pin in it, it's almost always not a lead problem. It's your conversion problem, that you're not converting everything else at a high enough level and you feel like you need more. And so you go out and you spend money and you throw things at the wall and see what sticks instead of really digging in on. And
unfortunately, none of it sticks. It all falls off.
Make it simple. Your best move that you can use, not a grind. It's a tip that saves you time. Your best move.
Your best move. All right, it's time for this week's best move. One simple, smart thing to focus on this week. Not a giant to-do list, not something that takes hours, just one move that actually helps move your business forward. And this week, build a seller expectation checklist. You'll prevent frustration before it starts.
Yeah, so like I think this could be many different things, but expectations that you would want to set with the seller would be things like time, like when am I available? When will you hear from me? How do showings work? When can you, ran into one recently. When can they come home after a showing? Like what are they going to have that happens that they might have questions about? If you can think back to any questions that a seller might have asked you in the past, that's probably something that should be on some sort of expectations list.
Yeah. And I would create like a one general expectation list of the steps. And then as each step is completed, they get an expectation sheet of what to expect up to the next step.
Well, hold on, you're taking it past your best move. Your best move is just to take like a simple list of expectations.
This is for the good students that want to get extra credit.
No, just do one list. Just think about the things that a seller is going to experience and what they might have questions.
Okay, you're about. Right. I'm getting too advanced. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You're doing too much?
It's supposed to be one simple.
Okay, one simple thing, right. All right, listen to her. Small win? Kat, you got a small win this week?
I think the small win is we did the Easter egg hunt that I sponsor in our farm area, and we do photographs with the Easter bunny and email those out. And like, I'm very particular. I like to email them out individually because I feel like that's like that extra touch in the process instead of just sending a link where they can go down, like find your own photo. And so in the past, we've had situations where we're like, they get out of order, the photos, and we're like, we don't know who this person is. And I believe this year we got everybody in a straight line, everybody signed in properly, the photograph was in the right order, and everybody received the correct photos.
Oh,
small win.
They all went out?
Yeah, okay. All of them went out.
That's good. That's great. And my small win is for longtime listeners, we passed our final inspections on our pool house.
Yes.
So
party at our house.
We're having a party. If you guys want to come, just send us a message. But yeah, that part is done, and that's a huge weight lifted. And now I know no one else is going to be coming out to check, and I can like check on things, or I shouldn't touch this or I shouldn't touch that until we get through inspections. Well, now inspections have happened. I can go mess up whatever I want out there. Hey guys, for episode extras like the candy bag, ask us questions, or anything else we mentioned today, you can find it all at onseekingthebest.com. And for Kat and myself, thanks for listening, and we'll figure this all out next week.
Bye.
Fall down, get back up, keep on reaching, don't give up. Step by step, nothing less. This is how I seek the best.
This has been a Think, Live, Be production.